I gave my fiancé an ultimatum to cut off her gay best friend before our wedding because he touched me inappropriately twice. She thinks I'm a red flag. My fiancé has a best friend named Gregory and he's Satan reincarnated. At the start of our relationship, my fiancé wanted us to be really close because she loved the idea of the two men in her life getting along. Well, I tried, but Gregory proved to be an awful person right from the start. We were hanging out with some of my friends one night, and when one of them started talking about an argument he had with his wife and how he hates fighting with her, Gregory was quick to say, "Dump that beach. Women are hoes anyway." My friend got really mad and told him to apologize for calling her a degrading word. Gregory refused and said he was just being honest. They got into a fight, and truth be told, he deserved to get that beating. I told my fiancé what happened the very next day and she laughed. She said that's just Gregory and I shouldn't take him seriously because that's his sense of humor. I said none of that was funny and I don't feel comfortable being around him anymore. She told me that I better get over it because she wasn't going to end their friendship. Gregory called her later that night and let her know he got beat up. I didn't hear the end of it when she got off that phone call. She said I was wrong for letting him get beat up. I better apologize to him. And we won't be seeing my friend who beat him up anymore. Not my proudest moment, but I told her exactly what she told me. She needs to get over it because I wasn't ending my friendship with him either. She got really mad at me and made me sleep on the couch. I didn't want to be near her that day, so I was more than happy to do so. Eventually, we made up, but I told her I was going to keep my distance from Gregory from now on. She kinda just scoffed at me and said she needed us to get along, so he was always going to be around from now on. And she stuck to her word. She invited him over constantly and he always made these weird jokes about hating women that my fiancé just laughed at. They were watching a movie with really graphic scenes of women getting assaulted and he said they deserved it. My fiancé laughed, hit him lightly on the arm and said, "Greg, you're so bad. You can't say that." But she wasn't scolding him. Gregory is gay, but that doesn't excuse his hateful behavior towards women, and it makes me wonder if he thinks that way about my fiancé. I brought this up to her and again, she dismissed his actions by saying he was joking. Everything went downhill when my fiancé invited Gregory over to drink. They got really wasted. Gregory even trashed my whole house. But my fiancé blacked out and passed out on the couch. I was in our bedroom the whole time he was here, but I went out to see why it had gotten so quiet all of a sudden. When I saw my fiancé sleeping, I went to get her and put her to bed. That's when it happened. Gregory snuck up behind me, grabbed my butt, and hugged me from behind. His grip on me wasn't strong, but I immediately froze. He then said that I should be marrying him because my fiancé doesn't deserve me. He said he could treat me so much better than her, and when he kissed my neck, that's when I pulled him off me. I told him to never do that again, and if he did, I was going to punch him. He called me baby multiple times and cried about how much he loved me. He said he could turn me gay if I just gave him a chance. I kicked him out of my house when he said that and took my fiancé to our bedroom. I thought that if I told my fiancé about this when she woke up, she would immediately stop being friends with Gregory, but she thought it was the most hilarious thing in the world. She said he had too much to drink, so it doesn't matter what he did. I let her know how uncomfortable he makes me, but she didn't care. In the end, she called me homophobic and said I had to change my ways or else maybe she was going to marry the wrong person. I was floored. She went on to tell me how much Gregory means to her and how he's been a pillar of support for her for so many years. I said he had done nothing but be really creepy around me and his behavior is really concerning. She told me to drop it and she already decided to make him her best man of honor, so she didn't want to call off the wedding because he was really excited for this. I really just couldn't take it anymore and left the house. I had nothing nice to say and I knew the second I started shouting, I would say things I would regret. So, I went to complain to my friends. They all told me they hated Gregory too. My friends' wives/girlfriends mentioned how my fiancé always brings him along to their hangouts, even if it's strictly a girls' night. One time, they were all supposed to spend the night at one of their houses and Gregory arrived with my fiancé. The girls all protested against this and Gregory went on a tangent saying this is why he hates women and they were being super sensitive over nothing. The owner of the house said if Gregory didn't leave on his own accord, then my fiancé also wasn't allowed to stay. She actually ended up leaving with him. She's really codependent with him and I don't understand why. He's just not a good person to have around. I went back to my house after spending the night at my friend's. I decided I was going to put my foot down to get things to change. Thing is, when I arrived at my house the next day, Gregory was there. He was all cuddled up with my fiancé on the couch. I confronted them and asked what the hell was going on. Gregory told me to relax, that nothing was going on between them because he didn't even like females. My fiancé hopped on his bandwagon and said it was fine because Gregory is gay. I demanded that he leave the house, but my fiancé said that I needed to get along with Gregory because I was going to be seeing a lot more of him. When I asked what she meant by that, she dropped the biggest bombshell on me. Gregory had gotten evicted from his apartment and my fiancé let him move in with us. Oh, F that. I said I needed time away from both of them and went into my room to pack some things. I heard my wife encouraging Gregory to go talk to me alone in our bedroom, but he wanted to do more than talk. Update: I gave my fiancé an ultimatum to cut off her gay best friend before our wedding because he touched me inappropriately twice. She thinks I'm a red flag. After being evicted from his apartment, my fiancé let Gregory live with us. I went into my room to pack some things to leave and I heard my wife encouraging Gregory to go talk to me alone in our bedroom, but he wanted to do more than talk. He came in and locked the door. I immediately shouted at him to get out, but he said we were going to be roommates now, so I needed to be nicer. I told him that was never going to happen. As I talked, he kept walking closer to me until eventually he was close enough to push me down on the bed. I tried kicking him off me, but this time, his grip on me was strong. He tried to give me head and it still haunts me to this day. I screamed for my fiancé to come in and help me, but he said she let him do this. I eventually managed to get him off of me and I punched him. I beat him up so badly and left him with bruises. He also called for my fiancé and she actually came running to help him. She was banging on the door and yelling at me to stop, but that only angered me more. I'm not going to say I'm proud of beating up Gregory, but he deserved it and I don't regret it. When he was out cold, I opened the door and my fiancé was a crying mess. She saw him on the floor and slapped me before running to help him. She screamed that she was going to call the police, but I didn't care. I told her she had to pick between me and him because I wasn't going to stick around if he was always with us. She said I couldn't make her choose because she loved us both. I shouted that he had just assaulted me and honestly, she didn't deserve this last chance I was giving her. Gregory had said she let him come do this to me. So, I called off our engagement right there and she didn't seem to care as much as I thought she would. She was more saddened by the fact Gregory wouldn't be part of our wedding anymore. I said I was sick of Gregory and because I own the house we live in, she was going to have to move out. She said I couldn't do that because Gregory was supposed to live with us. There was no reasoning with her at that point and I could tell she just wanted to help him out. She never really cared about me. No matter what, I would always be second to Gregory. I said my decision was final and I needed her out by the end of the day. She told me I was showing so many red flags and she's sad she missed them before. I couldn't believe she had the audacity to say that as she was holding a literal assaulter in her arms. I let her know that I would be gone the whole day and if her stuff wasn't packed by midnight, I would have her thrown out. I left after that and went to my friend's place where I told him everything that happened. He said he was willing to let me stay the night if I wanted and was really angry for me. Even after beating up Gregory he still thinks I underreacted. He didn't think my fiancée would ever react like this. He asked if he could call her to tell her off and I didn't stop him. Mostly because I wanted to see how she would react this time. She answered and went on a whole tangent about how he's friends with an abuser and he shouldn't trust me. He said that that was rich coming from someone who was defending a predator. She started calling him a bunch of bad words and mentioned that he deserves to be sexually assaulted for calling Gregory a predator. I cut the call right there and we kind of just sat in silence. He took one look at me and I immediately started crying. Whoever this woman was, she's no longer my fiancée or my future bride. She's a horrible person and that single sentence got rid of any feelings I had for her. I didn't take my friend's offer to sleep at his place because when midnight came around, I went to my house. My fiancé's car was still in the driveway and all the lights were on. The door was unlocked and when I went inside, nothing had been moved. All my fiancé's belongings were still all over my house. I could hear talking coming from the kitchen and when I went to see what it was, my fiancée was there with Gregory. When she saw me, she said she was waiting for me to come back and told me to sit down next to Gregory. I asked why she was still here and they both laughed at me. She said there was no way I was serious about kicking her out or calling off our engagement and she was willing to let my tantrum slide this time. That's when I knew she had lost it. I told her that if she didn't leave right this instant, I was going to call the police. She told me to go ahead because she was just going to tell them that I beat up Gregory. I asked why she was defending him and she said it was because she loved him. I asked in what way and she said it didn't matter because at the end of the day, he didn't rope me so I should just go ahead and forgive him. Gregory agreed with her and I got the strongest urge to punch him again. But I didn't. Instead, I pulled my phone out and called the police on the spot. My fiancée asked what I was doing and she looked really worried. I stepped out of the kitchen and ran back to my car. I told the police that there was somebody trespassing on my property and I needed their help. Honestly, I wasn't sure if that was the right move because I had beat up Gregory and he had bruises all over his face. Still, I was willing to risk some jail time if it meant those two would leave my house. The police showed up and I told them that my ex-fiancée was in my house with an intimate assaulter and I feel unsafe in my own home. They went in there but a police officer told me I couldn't go see what was happening. I was stressing out waiting to see what would happen, but then I heard a lot of commotion. Like things being thrown and yelling. When everyone finally came out, both Gregory and my fiancée were in handcuffs. A police officer had blood on his forehead so I can only assume my fiancée attacked him. She kept shouting at me that this was my fault and Gregory doesn't deserve to go to jail. The police officer who went inside the house told me that I didn't have to worry about them anymore because Gregory actually had a history of assaulting other people but he was always bailed out and my fiancée attacked him so she was also going to be spending time in jail. With that, they left and my house has never felt emptier than ever but I'm glad that's over with.